Hey, welcome back everyone. My name is Briggs. This is my dad right here. If you guys didn't know, we're the 200 mile pellet stove bringing you guys another pellet stove repair video, and we are back with the Pelpro PP130 pellet stoves. And today we're going to be doing the part 2 of the sensors, the vacuum switch that's related to the auger.
The vacuum
switch. 1, 2, 3, everything else. Basically, why I say it like that is, yeah, we're going to be focusing on that vacuum switch. Because when it comes to auger motor issues on this stove, it's not necessarily always your auger motor. So in a previous video, we got more in depth of the hopper safety switch. And this one, we're going to go on the vacuum switch. It's that part 2 sequence that you want to check before diving into an auger motor problem. And after this video or the other videos and all that stuff doesn't work, well, we got an auger motor video coming up and you can check that one out too. I know that was a lot. Again, you ready to summarize it?
You always do a great job. You know, take a minute. Really, we're growing, so we all work together. And so like, I guess, or thumbs up, whatever it is, share and subscribe. Help us grow. We appreciate it. So today, yep, the vacuum switch, Pelpro PP130. I know a lot of you have this stove, and the people that don't have this stove, it's a pretty good one. So follow along with us. Let's do it. Let's get to work.
All right, let's go.
And welcome back. Here we go. Now, always, like Briggs and I always say, unplug, unplug, unplug your stove prior to doing any maintenance on it. You get it. I hope. So there you go. We'll set that aside. So the tools you need today, it's pretty simple. Pretty simple. So we got an impact that you can use, but the key thing is most people have a ratchet and a socket. So a 3/8 adapter. This is what you need. That's the tool. And so, if need be, you can look at our last videos too, but we may have to do a temporary bypass for testing. So you're going to have a wire like this with contact, and most people have electrical tape. So, Briggs, you ready to go?
Definitely.
Okay, we're going to go to the steps, and hopefully this will help you at your home. Oh my gosh, bonus clip, senior moment on Brett's part. But you may need a Phillips screwdriver during this process with the vacuum switch. So Briggs will show you how.
All right.
Showtime!
Showtime?
Pelpro PP130 vacuum switch. Okay, Briggs.
Well, that's an intro. I like it. All right, let's get to it.
Let's do it.
So, you're going to find the vacuum switch on the right side of the stove facing forward. So you're going to be taking off this panel first. And to do that, right over here, you're going to have 3 3/8 bolts. And we're going to be slowly taking those off. So, what's nice about the Pelpro, you do not have to take these bolts all the way off. Just go about yay much. You lift up and out. And then you're able to pull this away from the tabs and from the under part of the metal there. You're going to set this to the side. Right here, here's your vacuum switch. Front and center, easy to access. So, with the vacuum switch, it may not always be bad. There's a few things on here you can check before having to either do a replacement on here. So this could be a very quick fix for y'all. So one thing I want to direct you guys to, see this vacuum tube? Remove it from the vacuum switch side, not over here. And what you can do is you can blow air through it via an air compressor, compressed air can, or just manually. And what that's gonna do, it's gonna clear the line of any sawdust. You can kind of see where the connection is. Here's the auger shaft tube. Sometimes sawdust will clog right in here. And so if you have air going through there and you can feel the clog just, you can hear just clear, like air is going through, it's clear. Now, if you, with best efforts, if air is going through and it's still plugged up, what you might have to do is go over here, disconnect it from this side, take like an Allen wrench or something small and poke it through here, because sometimes those fine granules, you might even get a more coarser one, can really clog that out. So you might have to manually get something in there to just really clear it. And once you have that clear and the vacuum tube clear, you can reconnect that tube here, and you reconnect right on your sensor. And then right then and there, you can then test, plug in your stove, go through the testing, And in that startup, see if you get the auger motor to go. And if you do, boom, you know, step one of this, it's good. You don't have to go any further. If you've done that and it still doesn't work, well, we can move on to step two. We can show you another trick. So if you're on step two, again, make sure your stove is shut down, all unplugged, safety first. You don't want any surprises and shocks. So what you're gonna do, you see these two red wires right here? Got a good view on them?
Yep, I do now.
Awesome. What you're gonna do, you're gonna pull these bad boys off.
Two connections on the vacuum switch.
Two connections. So right here, pull these off, and what you're gonna do, you're gonna grab what we call a jumper line or bypass wire. So basically on this, what you can do is take these, you're gonna be plugging them in here as so, and then this creates a bypass loop. So another step you can do that a number of people can have around that's easy to access is some electrical tape. And so what we like to do, if we want extra safety, is just get a little bit of security there so they don't just hop off, and then when you're actually doing the tests, before you realize it, one of the wires is disconnected, and so your test is actually not going to work because you don't have the full connection right there.
So what you're doing here, Briggs, this is a temporary test, and if the vacuum switch is bad, then they need to purchase another one, because this vacuum switch is a safety feature on all pellet stoves, and so please replace it if needed.
Exactly. We do recommend that this is a temporary fix. And so on here, once you have this going, again, the same steps that I told you for the vacuum tube right here, you know, get power to your stove, go through the run sequence, everything else. And then once in that start, or in the run process, once it's in that start sequence, if you start seeing the auger motor actually going and the pellets are drop, well, that's good indication that there is something wrong with your vacuum switch. And so right then and there, that's a good check. Now in this process, if this is still not going and you've bypassed this, so this sensor is bypassed, so vacuum switch has nothing to do right now. If right here, if this is still not working, check out our previous video regarding the hopper safety switch, because that's another one that goes in tandem of the same principle of like the working with the auger of cutting it off for safety stuff. So we've seen it before. It's either this or either that one. Sometimes we've seen them both, which is just crazy. So that's why we really emphasize on this, because we want to just make sure it's a straightforward fix on this end rather than you just going out and buying an auger motor, wasting a bunch of money. You replace the auger motor and guess what? It still doesn't work. So I know that's a lot to, well, take in, but we just want to make it the life a little easier so you don't go to the online stores or the Home Depot 50 times in a weekend. You get it. Those 30-minute projects, not always 30-minute projects. So right then and there, let's go to the scenario that you plug this in and the auger motor is working. So then you know the vacuum switch is bad. So moving on to that, what we're gonna do, we're gonna isolate the vacuum switch as so, and you're gonna be taking off the Phillips screws right here. Man, those things are pretty tight on there. Usually those screws, sometimes we'll just come right off by hand. Anyway, so once you have it right here, very easy to remove and access, but a number of times you can go like this. You can kind of listen for a sound in there. And so if a number of times, if you don't hear anything or if it's inconsistent, there's a diaphragm in these vacuum switches. So basically you can kind of, in a sense, hear if there's something wrong. And so take it out, do a little shake, and then overall, once you know it's the vacuum switch through this whole process, take it to the side, or pretend this is your new one. We're just gonna put the old one back in because this one still works, and we're gonna go through the process. So vacuum switches, they all look relatively the same right now. They go through about this same plastic, new modern style. A number of times what you may have to do, this little bracket right here, your new vacuum switch may not come with this, so you can easily just take this off with a Phillips screwdriver again, and then put it on the new one. So installing these, They're actually pretty simple. Just get your screws, just working backwards, and place them in as so. And so I think that covers all the bases. Dad, do you have anything else to chime in?
I do. You gotta flip that vacuum switch around. You got it
that's
backwards.
true. Yep. See right there. Thank you.
You know, this is a good thing. You know.
Too focused on the screws.
Like we are human. Everybody is. And so take your time when you do this troubleshooting. And if you look at our videos, hopefully they're helpful. And so when they're helpful and you take your time, you have a successful repair and your stove is up and running, and you save yourself, your friends, and family some money. So that's great.
Yep, very true. And, you know, eventually I would have caught that because having it all fixed up and I try to put that side panel on, you're like, well, I just call it more practice. So it happens. It happens. It's a nice thing having two of us on scene, because if we're going through all these steps and we see just a little thing like that, we're like, hey, you sure about that? And classic one, the other person pauses and goes, yeah, I'll eat some crow. You're right. I don't know. We've been in many situations like that, wouldn't you say?
Yeah.
So always good to have a buddy.
So he's just connecting the two R's to the two connections in the back of the vacuum switch, putting that tube back on. Mm-hmm. Nicely done.
And so with the step 3 of this one, I would say, or step 2, one of the two. Either way, if you came to...
Or is it step 3?
I might have lost in there, but my main point...
They get it.
They get it. If it came down to you had a bad vacuum switch, that's how you replace it. You put the bracket on, you replace the wires, make sure the connections are right on there and tight, and then replace your vacuum tube. Then go through the whole testing sequence, and if your auger motor goes, boom, it was a vacuum switch. So I know that's a lot, folks, but when it comes to doing pellet stoves and the vacuum system, virtually all new, I would say all new pellet stoves these days, they have the vacuum sensor switch or something similar to the sense. And when it comes to that, it's a very common problem for these vacuum switches to well, do their thing and shut off the auger when something's not right. And so whether it's a Pelpro, a Quadrifire, a Harman, comfortable stoves, as long as you know the principle of the vacuum switches, a lot of the times I would say that's one of the, I would say at least that's one of the top 3 problems when it comes to pellet stoves. So once you know the vacuum switch, doesn't even matter if it's Pelpro, I think you're in good straits to hopefully save some time and money. That could be a very quick fix. So hopefully this has been helpful. All right, everyone, thank you so much for watching this video. Hopefully it's been helpful, and I know that was a lot of information, but you know, once you get the general gist, when it comes down to these pellet stove sensors, it could really help you out, save some money, save some time, save you some headache. Did I miss anything else?
No, it's well done. You know, the PP130 is a pretty good stove. But hopefully our videos will help you, your friends, and your family at home. And we thank you for tuning in on DIY Pellet Stove TV with Brent and Briggs. We'll see you next time.
Sounds good. Thanks, guys.